Significant events in our lives can open a path in which we can embark on. We can put all our determination, all our discipline to this path, and just like with anything else, it'll have its moments of success and its moments of failures. Today I get to talk with Maggie Olczyk. She is a pilot for a major US airline who also created and is the founder of Avi-Foods, a super healthy granola with health as its main ingredient. We also talk about how health and fitness has impacted her aviation career and also leading her to create this Avi-Foods. It is a really interesting podcast, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Fit Aviators Club podcast, where aviation, fitness, and mindset meet to improve the balance of your health and quality of life in aviation. This is your host, Fernando Contreras, and let's get to it. Maggie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, I was actually kind of interested in the on your last name, Olczyk. Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Poland. I was born there. My parents and I emigrated in 1990, pretty much at the fall of communism. So right when everything was changing and there was a big shift, they decided to move to the U.S. They wanted to have a better life here. So
yeah,
that's
totally.
how it started.
And you moved to somewhere that has like similar environment to Poland, like, you know, gets cold in the winter and maybe gets a little hot in the summer, or did you move somewhere just tropical like how I did?
No, we moved to Chicago, unfortunately. I wish my folks had been moving further west. That would have been lovely, but the climate here is very similar. So they were used to it. There is quite a large Polish community and population here.
Oh, really?
So I think that was a big reason. My grandparents were here also, and it just made life a little bit easier of a transition when you're new. But they quickly moved to the suburbs just to learn the language and learn everything else that the U.S. brought. So
I agree. It's a lot easier when there's already some sort of establishment going on wherever you're going to move to, especially if you're coming from somewhere else. But do you still speak Polish? Do you speak it at all?
I do. I speak, I read, I write.
Wow.
It's just, I think what helped is my parents spoke to me every day. So I didn't forget. And I know that's, if I hadn't done that, it would have been very easy to, because it's a tough language it's tough. Yeah. It's just very tough to master. So if I didn't grow up with it, I think I would have forgotten a long time ago.
I agree. I haven't gotten the chance to visit Poland yet. But I did run into some people who have, and they have great things to say about it. I'm sure it's much different visiting than actually living. But it's still one of those things where there's a lot of history there, and it would be very nice to go see and get a piece of what, you know, that country has to offer. So
absolutely. I feel like Poland is a hidden gem. You know, a lot of people go to Prague, they go to Germany. They're right next door. They're our neighbors. But I encourage everyone to at least try it out. You will not be disappointed, I promise. And Poland has come a very, very long way since the 90s. It's world class, and I miss it very much.
Well, hopefully, do you get to go often?
I do. I try to go every year.
Oh, great. So. Okay, so that's good. That's great. Well, that's fantastic. Hopefully, Jess and I get to visit that soon and be able to experience it. So when you came over to the U.S., was aviation something that you kind of wanted to do since you were a kid? Did it spark an interest in you when you moved here? How did that come about?
Honestly, it was never really, it was never on my radar. No one in my family was a pilot. Unfortunately. So I got introduced to it when I was in high school and fell in love with it very quickly, and then really wanted to pursue it. But I didn't know how to do that. It was a very big, steep learning curve. I had some mentors here and there, but also I feel like the community present day, particularly with social media, having access to things like Instagram, Facebook, all of these incredible groups at your fingertips really makes a huge difference, because I can basically send out one message to the World Wide Web, to any group of female aviators, for example, or Polish, or whatever group I may want to interact with, and get a response same day. So that part is incredible. I think when I was starting out, that wasn't the case, but I'm so glad it is now, because it opens doors to a lot of other people that otherwise may have not considered the career.
Yeah, I totally have to agree with you there. And I think one of the greatest things about, the challenges of finding the most efficient avenue to become a pilot was a lot harder back then. And you go through all these mistakes, all these things that the next person that you get to at least talk to, that you wouldn't want them to kind of go through that. You would kind of want them to go through a little bit more of an efficient route, maybe spend less money in flight school or something like that. And I think that's one of the greatest things about pilots who are, a step ahead, guiding everybody who's upcoming, and I think that's such a great thing now with social media, to be able to get that instant, instant response based to a question that somebody might have.
Absolutely.
Which is something that, instant gratification or instant responses sometimes is not good. But in the cases of, hey, I kind of want to get started, I would love to hear from someone who's in that field, in that experience. I'm going to try to send them a message or try to get in contact with them to see if they can give me some pointers. And it's a really nice, rewarding thing to do. So that's awesome. That's good.
I agree. And, I think having had someone that perhaps came from my background could have given me a little bit more direction early on. Things ended up working out in just fine in my case. There were a lot of ups and downs and curves in the road that I wouldn't change anyway. But yeah, I think there's benefits, there's negatives, there's good and bad. But if you take the good pieces, you can really take away a lot of good things from the way, things are functioning present day.
Yeah, I agree. It's all a balance, right? It's all a balance. Yep. So speaking about balance, you fly for a major airline. What aircrafts have you flown, and what are you currently in?
So in the airline world, I have flown the Airbus 320 and 319 and the Boeing 767 and 757. There's about 5 different models of those 2 types. And currently I'm back on the Airbus.
Okay, nice. Do you did you want to switch back airframes due to like different routing, or did you just like Airbus over Boeing?
I hate to choose sides, but the Airbus is my baby. I love that plane very much. It just, everything logistically and the way it was designed, I really enjoy. It makes sense. But truthfully, I was flying overseas, internationally, pre-pandemic, a little bit during COVID, and then COVID just kind of made all the musical chairs stop. So at that point, I went back to the Airbus, and I made an effort. I thought about what that would entail, whether or not I should go back and fly international again. But during COVID, I also started a business, and just being on the same time zone makes my life a little bit more manageable. It's already a little bit hectic and busy trying to combine and do 2 very different things at the same time. And then adding crossing the pond on a weekly basis, I think that would have been a little bit too much for me at this time.
Yeah, I feel like with that, the things start to get out of balance. It's just too much to handle. So how are you able to kind of balance all that out? I mean, you began your career as an airline pilot, and then, as the pandemic came about, you started this company with making granola. Was being an entrepreneur always kind of like in the back of your mind, or was that spark kind of like because COVID happened? And why did you start Avi-Foods?
Great questions. So I think I had always had the desire to start something. I wasn't entirely sure what that would be, uh, but I knew whatever I chose, I hoped that it would at least make a positive impact on on um, on someone. Obviously, the more the better. But I had always had that inkling inside. And pre-pandemic, I wanted to create something, and this was really sparked by a very close friend of mine who got sick at a very young age. And what I took away from him getting sick, he was also a pilot, was the nutrition factor and the eating and the healthy habits that he lacked and therefore I lacked, and I started to notice a lot of people did. When you're a pilot, particularly, it doesn't really seem to matter what phase you're in. I think the later you get on with your career, the more flexibility you have. You're a little bit more financially stable as well, so you can spend money on things that maybe you're not able to early on. But his illness kind of sparked this interest of, hey, I think I need to change my life, and it has to deal with the nutrition aspect. And so that was always in the back of my mind, and I never knew how I would do it until I was flying really long trips. My trips would be on average 14 plus hours. And when you factored in the time pre-departure and then post-departure, it sometimes I would be, in the plane or at work for 20 plus hours on a very regular basis. And I never particularly cared for water. So I thought, okay, I want a electrolyte hydration powder that I can take on the road with me, that I actually enjoy and that I like. Couldn't find one, so I just made one. And I thought, okay, I love this stuff. I want to drink it. I want to share it with my friends. And I started to share it with family. And then that started to turn into a little bit of a side hustle.
Okay.
The pandemic kind of put a stop to that. And through that business, I learned a lot of lessons of what to do and what not to do. So fast forward, we're now in the middle of the pandemic. And now my very busy lifestyle, where I was basically running around constantly, was trying to feed myself well. I was very physically active, but also I was a snacker. So when you're an airline pilot, as you know, we are gone on average about half the month. Maybe those things get a little bit better as we get more seniority and the trips get more lucrative and we're able to get our paws on those. But in the beginning, it's about half the month. So my personality type is such that, okay, half the month is at work. The other half, I now have to squeeze in what everyone else has 30 days to do. And I tried because I like to live, kind of full throttle, live every moment to its fullest. And what ended up happening is I was snacking constantly. I would have a meal when it came to sitting down with friends and family, but most of the time I was just grazing, eating, snacking throughout the day. So when the pandemic hit, the flying stopped. And now all I had was nothing but time to sit in my kitchen and experiment and do the things that I had wanted to do. And I knew that once life returned back to normal, I would want to take some of those things that I had created in the kitchen and take it on the road with me. And one of the things that I always loved was like crunchy, sweet snacks. Granola is kind of what got into my mind. I thought, oh, this could, double as a snack. I could throw this with a smoothie or with yogurt, or just eat it as a breakfast cereal. I'm kind of a cereal girl too. So I wanted to check a lot of boxes. But while creating this, I also wanted it to make sense. So I am very big on sugar and trying to eliminate it from my diet. I am a self-proclaimed sugar addict. So that has always been a very big challenge to me. And one of the things that my friend was going through when he got diagnosed with colon cancer, at 36. Even in the hospital, the protocol did not eliminate sugar, which
Really?
really surprised me.
Wow.
Because now we know not only is sugar incredibly addictive,
Yeah.
but it feeds cancer cells.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to try to still have it taste sweet so people actually enjoy it and like it, but not be dependent on the sugar. And I have family that is diabetic and pre-diabetic, so hence adding just a minimal amount of sugar alcohols to kind of make everyone happy.
Balance it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an incredible, trial and error. And I'm so sorry to hear about your friend, but, when you had this opportunity to kind of start your own thing for a good cause, I think it's something amazing that has made its way through. I follow your page. It's Avi-Foods Co. right on Instagram. I see the great ideas that you make with this granola. It looks so tasty. It's like I would want to come back home and kind of make those. But I also know if I take it on the road, it's going to be good for me as well. And the whole trial and error that I'm surprised it started off with electrolytes, and because that's an easier thing to make, right? Like you just throw in a couple like sodium, magnesium, and you just mix it all up.
Absolutely. That's and I was importing ingredients that were really pure, high quality, dragon fruit from Malaysia. It was a quality product. And as is the granola, I try to do everything intelligently and with a lot of purpose, because I know people that will be eating it are expecting a certain caliber, and I would never want to put out anything subpar anyway. But yes, the electrolyte powder was just, that would have been a slam dunk. But COVID just kind of derailed a lot of the plans I had. So you have to learn to pivot sometimes and see if there's anything else that could work. But I wasn't so much on focusing like, oh, this business didn't work, I need to do something else. It was just my passion. I loved the electrolyte powder. I still drink it. My friends still drink it. Maybe I'm not super hyper focused on it. Granola has kind of shifted my attention because I love that as well. But it's just being able to see if you could have an impact on others. And at that particular moment, I thought the food aspect would have more of an impact. So that's where the focus has been.
Yeah, I agree. It's really all about what we ingest, right? And I was actually surprised to hear that the whole sugar. I crave sugar as well, but I have gotten to a mentality where I know, this tastes really good. And sugar as a simple carb, it could replenish the energy that I just consume very quickly. But if I consume more, or if I can get energy replacement from other substrates that is not like sugar, I know that putting sugar into my body is going to cause some sort of harm later down the road, depending on the amount, and I think it takes a moment of your mindset just shifting about like, it's not what I'm just consuming, it's about like what it's doing to my body, and because I used to, I burn about like 2,700 to 3,100 calories a day. So I'm like, oh, well, and I'm using a lot of energy, I'm going to have to replace it back. Let me have some sugar. And I use like natural fruits and stuff like that. Right. But still at the same time, you got to be very mindful of, it's not just about energy replacement. It's about, okay, well, it's energy replacement, but metabolically, how's that happening into your body? And then what are the effects aside from energy replacement that sugar is doing to you, So I think that's a very good thing for everybody to be conscious of. And it's great that you're doing it to be able to balance that sweet taste with not as much like sugar, to be able to have the granola that you have, that is amazing. It tastes really, really good. I put it on everything. So with that in mind, though, you have to, do you have like a health and fitness background that also contributed to the health aspect of trying to help other people out? Did you play sports before? Are you still like very active in exercise?
I am. I've always been very active. It's always been part of my kind of DNA, my personality ever since childhood. I feel like I was
Yeah.
always running around and missing for hours when I was little. But later on, that transpired to being on sports teams, etc. I think later in life, what ended up happening is I went from like the group aspect of team sports and did it more on like a volunteer or individual basis. So I was and still am involved with a charity that leads blind marathon runners. So I'm
Wow.
active with that, and that's life changing, because if you ever think, you can't make a difference, you absolutely can, and small
Yeah.
things can make anyone's day, completely. You can completely shift someone's day just by showing up.
Right. Yeah.
So I do that, but from a personal aspect, running, cycling teams, all that stuff. But fitness has always been a big part of my life, because I have always attributed kind of mental health with fitness. I feel like I just feel better. My body feels better. I feel better rested. I sleep better. I function better.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's just, it spans all different aspects. So I think it's a very big part of me personally. And I think a lot of people feel the same. It does give you a lot of endorphins, which is amazing. And particularly for pilots, we have to be so careful about what we put in our bodies, and not just with food, but even if you think you have a cold, you can't just take any medicine, and you can't just
Right.
take anything. We always have to, think about it 10 times, see whether or not this is even allowed.
Right.
Whereas someone else in a different profession doesn't have to worry about those things. So the better you take care of your body physically, not only from a food standpoint, but from exercise as well. And then, it kind of builds from the inside out, helping you with your immunity and just having and being strong. I think the better you function in everyday life, and particularly for pilots. And I'm not saying this is just for us. Obviously, so many professions are
Yeah.
affected. People that work any night shift, for example, just getting out of that normal sleep pattern, can have a huge effect. So I think fitness really can make a very big positive impact.
Yeah, it's definitely a major contribution to, overall health. And I love that you said that you kind of work from your body inside to the out. And that's pretty much what health and fitness truly is about. And when people start taking care of their bodies on a daily basis, the sick time goes down. The feeling like, bad is not that often. You have less tweaks, muscular imbalances. You have less of everything. And fitness, once it's incorporated with nutrition, sleep, and rest, like, it's all a cycle. One affects the other. So if you could be exercising really great. You could be spot on in your exercise, but your nutrition's lacking. Your sleep is going to get affected, because it's all about hormone balance, right? But fitness, because a lot of people in aviation, it's a lot of the less on the nutrition and less on the fitness. We do eat, but we don't eat that great. And we also don't exercise. well, not we, because you and I do exercise, but I'm talking about the majority of pilots and flight attendants. If you just incorporate a little bit of that fitness, you're going to see how everything starts to balance out, because you don't want to just incorporate business and still eat bad. Because you're like, well, I'm wasting my time on this effort that I'm doing. Why am I going to eat bad? So one affects the other. And it's the psychological change that it's just so amazing. People won't understand it until they actually feel it, right? Because it's this feeling that you want more of it every single day. You want to have that energy. You don't want to feel lethargic every day. You want to have that, that you get up and you feel like you want to conquer the world every day. Like, I don't know if anybody gets up that same way every day, but that exercise, nutrition, getting good sleep contributes to all that. So because fitness is a great part of your life, how has it helped you manage between everything you have to do as an airline pilot and between everything you have to do as an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. And just to go back on a couple of things you just mentioned, I couldn't agree more. I think it's a chain of events, right? And everything is linked very well together. And what you mentioned, it's so beautiful. Wouldn't you want to wake up just feeling great every single day if we could all do that? And you give a lot of very, very incredible hints and tidbits and things that people can do on the road, not only if you're an airline pilot or a flight crew of any sort, but just for people in everyday lives. I love how you incorporate our job in particular with being on the road and making people feel like they can just accomplish and change their life by doing little things. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
When I get stressed out, or when things start to get a little bit too overwhelming just by the nature of things piling up in your schedule, whether it's from the business or the job or just anything related to, that doesn't have to do with work, like regular life with family or friends or anything that comes up unexpectedly. I think when I get stressed out, it's nice to be able to have some sort of an escape where you don't, you don't have to either think about any of it, which to me, like if I go for a run or a jog, I'll have my earpods in. I'll just, be jamming out and be in the zone and be happy with the music. And that'll be my time. I know that for this half hour or this hour, I'm not going to worry about anything except enjoying this weather or this jog or this run or this walk or whatever it may be that day. Everyone needs balance. So for me, that's in the shape of or form of using exercise to do that. Also, there have been times where, instead of sitting at a desk on my laptop for hours on end, I'll hop on an elliptical and I'll still go through ideas or go through things that I may need to work on a given day, or go through different situations, tasks I need to accomplish or run through emails. But on an elliptical, for example, at least I know I'm moving. My heart rate's up a little bit. I might not be working that hard, but to me, I think about it sometimes. I'm like, shoot, instead of sitting here like a potato, sedentary, why don't I just move, get the blood flow moving? And it helps ideas flow, and it's just good to move the body anyway. So
completely agree. Have you seen, so one of my friends told me about this yesterday, and she sent me a reel on Instagram today so I could see it, but it's a treadmill that doesn't have like a top part, and the top part you can just put your own desk. So it's like a standing desk, and people just kind of walk and just work away. Have you seen those before? Those are
I haven't. That's amazing.
It's really cool. I thought it was really, really cool. I mean, it's perfect because like you said, when we're moving, that's triggering things to start hormones to start secreting, right? Endorphins, things like that. And we just think more clearly. We think better. We have more of an open mind, and we can be more resourceful rather than trying to come up with ideas just sitting down. Now, for some people, coming up with the idea sitting down, that might be their thing, right? And that they're just really good at that point. But I'm not saying that you have to walk in order for you to get great ideas, but it does help because you're also getting your joints moving. So it's like, you know, we sit in the airplane for such a long time. When we gotta go, you know, get off the plane and go to catch the hotel shuttle, like that initial, like, I just flew for 5 hours, my legs are a little numb, or you take a laugh break and your legs are numb. I mean, as much as you exercise and everything, it's still going to affect you. And I can't even imagine for the people who don't exercise and don't keep those joints kind of moving, getting lubricated, having that proper blood flow circulation too, because that's one of the biggest things about sitting down, not getting proper blood flow to your legs. And then people start having those issues. If you exercise or if you keep moving, you are increasing cardiac output, no matter how low the level is, but it's still increasing a little bit. And I think that gradually, just like you said, gradually it starts off with one thing, and then you want to get better at it. You want to become, more. You can start with gradual walks. Next thing you know, you're like multitasking, taking phone calls on a run, and you can talk great, something like that. But it's all about gradual. It's gradual progression. And I completely have to agree with you that, having two different aspects of your life that are career and passion and hobby wise, fitness to balance everything out is a huge contribution to get rid of all that stress or get a clear mind to go back into it, because the list of long things is not going to go away. How we perceive, our perspective on that long list is what changes. And then it could go from like, I hate to have to do all these things, more of like, okay, let's take on all these things. Let's see how great I could do all these, right? Fitness can do that for us. For some people, it can't, but I think for the majority who end up liking fitness or health in general, will have that kind of result from that mental mindset,
I agree. And, I would like to also add something. I feel like a lot of people put them or categorize themselves in these buckets. Like you and I, fitness is a big part of who we are and our life and our daily life. For some listening to this, they may think, that's never been me. I don't think that will be me. It's not me. I just don't enjoy fitness. And that's perfectly okay. But what I would encourage everyone to do is just to start and just to test the waters out. It doesn't have to be starting, on a 5-mile run. Anything as little as maybe just stretching your body for 15 minutes when you wake up in the morning.
Yes.
Just doing that alone, you just don't know what impact it will start to have unless you do it, and you have to give it a little bit of time. So my background, you had asked a little bit earlier, which I didn't mention, but I did a nutrition course and program over the course of a couple of years and became a certified health coach. And I started to not just by default, a lot of captains I would fly with would ask me questions, hey, what do you think about this? Or, I'd like to do that. Or just like pure conversation. Oh, my blood pressure is this or that. So I would give them little hints and tidbits. And 9 times out of 10, they were very reluctant to do anything. Once they started, it was easier, and it's all about consistency. So I always told them, you do not have to do this. You do not have to work out for an hour at the gym. Start with 10 minutes. Do something for 10 minutes. How about you stand up off the sofa 5 times? Wonderful. Right. Let's do 10 times. And in the beginning, like anything we do in life, it's hard. It's tedious. No one likes it. But guess what? It was really hard on day 1. By day 10, they're like 5 times. That's it. Like, I'm like, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted you to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Now do it 50 times. it's, it's little things, and you don't have to, but as long as you do something, I think those things ultimately make a big impact later on, because our bodies, we get older every single day, and our bones, our joints, everything, it has more of an impact every single day we wake up.
Hmm.
It's older than it was the day prior, which to me
I know.
signifies needs a little tiny bit more extra TLC or care, like
Yeah,
go ahead and do that stretch for just like 3 seconds longer.
exactly. I agree. I completely agree with that. When I mentioned earlier that I get up every day like I want to conquer the world, I before I get that thought across my mind, I actually wake up with a little bit of hip tightness. And until I fix that hip tightness is when my mindset changes. What I'm trying to say with this is that a muscular tweak in your body can mentally hold you or block you or prevent you from thinking things that are much greater, right? And because you have some sort of tweak or pain, you now can go down this path of thoughts that cannot get the most potential out of yourself. And so when I wake up in the morning, I will stretch my hips out a little bit. I'll do maybe about like 5-10 minutes. And then I feel like I can conquer the world because that tightness is gone. I have nothing to focus on my hip tightness right now, and I can focus on so many other things. So I'm so glad you mentioned the whole even stretching for 5 minutes in the morning is wonderful. It can do so many great things for you.
And it's a little bit of a mental shift
Yeah,
too,
for
because
sure.
I did, like, for example, I did a leg workout and I hadn't done legs, in a couple of weeks actually. So
Hmm.
after I did that workout, I was really sore. I mean, to the point where tying my shoe, I'm like, wow, what
Oh,
is happening here? You know? And my first initial thought, like so many people, is, wow, getting old sucks. And
yeah,
then I thought, you know what? No, I'm not going to think that way. What I'm going to
right.
think is, I had such a good workout that 2 days later, I'm still sore. I
Yes,
just
right on.
kicked butt. And then you just got to turn it back around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally true. I think that a lot of captains that I speak with now, they're like, "Oh, how old are you? Oh, you got into this spot at a great age. You still have a 35-year career, And then we start talking about something about fitness, and then they'll go like, "Wait until you hit mid-30s," and
Yep.
I'm like, "Why you got to say that, bro?"
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? It's such a mindset. It really is.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
we have control over all of that. Now, of course, age is a huge factor. We can't control the actual number, but we
Right.
can control what and how we feel around that
Hmm.
number, what we do with regards to that number. And let me just tell you, I was part of a cycling club when I was in my late 20s, when I lived in the Bay Area. And I can't tell you how many 70-year-olds left me in their dust.
Wow.
I would, and I would come home, I would be exhausted. I would lay on the floor for like a solid half hour. We would do like a 90-mile ride. And I was torn up after that. But
Wow.
I always remember thinking, these guys don't feel that way. They're
Hmm.
consistent. They
Hmm.
worked their way up to that level. No one was
Hmm.
born, being an athlete like that. And now
Yeah.
they're at that age where, they say how old they are and they don't think twice about it. It does not matter. They hop on a bike or they go running or they do their activity,
Yeah, they
and
just
then
take
the
off.
age is really just a number. So I always took that as really close to my heart, because it really is. You move, and you feel, the way you move is the way you feel, and you
Right.
have to have a positive attitude, and just do things consistently. I think they ultimately make a really big difference.
Yeah, I agree. I think my long-term goal is to be able to be at an age of, anywhere between 60 and however old I'll be to live, to feel that way, to feel like, yeah, I'm going to get on a bike and just do this, or I'm going to go run, or I'm going to go play soccer. I'm going to go do all this. And I noticed that with people who have fitness as part of their lifestyle, not just like a certain portion in their life and then they get up. These people who are at an older age, fitness has been part of their life since, for a real long time. And I mean, for me, at least, you started when you were very young as well. I started when I was very young as well. I can't quite remember the first thing that I did fitness wise, but I knew that feeling I got hooked on and that I wanted to continue doing it. And you know how you mentioned about stand up from your couch 5 times? When I used to do when I was a little kid, I used to watch, my favorite TV show would come on. I didn't want to miss it, but I still wanted to go do some exercise. So I did sit-ups and push-ups for the commercials. And then when my show started back up, I would rest and watch my show.
Oh, wow. You're a special kid.
Seriously. I know. I don't know what it was that I just kind of wanted to. A lot of it being introduced to sports when I was very little, I just wanted to be the best. And I knew what it would take to be the best because I started listening to professional athletes, top professional athletes, and what they did is pretty much what I started doing when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And I wanted nothing more than that. I obviously, for my whole life, I always knew that I want to be a pilot. But if there was anything else besides being a pilot that I wanted to accomplish for myself, is to be a professional athlete and to do what it would take to get to that level. So, life works in a certain way, and I didn't become a professional athlete, but the things that I learned from all that discipline since I was 10, 12 years old are very beneficial nowadays, especially in this job, And whenever I tell somebody that story or other stories, crazy stories when I was a kid, they're like, you're just weird. You're just like, how did you even do that when you were 12? Yeah. And it's just like a mindset thing. It's about really what you truly want. And then you'll go after it. You'll do whatever is necessary to get there. I
agree. And I mean, you were maybe a little bit more dedicated than the average, even child, I would say. But what great lessons to take away and carry on, for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I totally agree. So here's a bit of a curveball question because I think about this from time to time. Do you think if fitness wasn't a part of your life, how would your life be different?
That's a great question.
Can you even imagine life without fitness? Because sometimes it's hard for me to even think about that.
I do think about that in the way of what if I wasn't able to physically do something for whatever reason. Different things happen in life, ailments, illnesses, etc. And I think it would definitely be a struggle. It would be tough because I enjoy it so much. I think I would probably be more stressed in my daily life if I didn't have fitness to, kind of keep my energy up and my mind active. And it's what allows me, like I mentioned, to work through different problems. So I think I would definitely be a bit more stressed.
Yeah, for sure. I think I would have a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
If I didn't was able to exercise. But very good point there, because there's sometimes people who do want to be fit and for some reason physically they can't, for whatever reason it may be. So when I see things like that, I often think to myself, what would I be thinking if I couldn't do something physical? And it's those thoughts are scary to think about, but it's okay to kind of dive into those thoughts because you always want to be resourceful in life with whatever you do. you know? And it's with being resourceful, you kind of don't stay attached to one single mindset. Even if you're in fitness, sometimes sticking to one mindset and you try to do that for the whole rest of your life, it's not going to be long lasting, because you have to be able to change, you know? So with being able to change and amend your routines in fitness, have you noticed a particular change on how you approach your workouts from, let's say, when you first started your airline career till now, or even from when you were in your mid 20s in the Bay Area doing your cycles till now? Have you noticed some sort of difference?
Absolutely. So for me personally, I tend to gravitate towards different routines based on my, first and foremost, my geographic location. So in the Bay Area, obviously a lot more, a lot nicer weather, certain months of the year. Now being in the Midwest and in Chicago, we have pretty long winters. So I try to gravitate that towards things that I really love. Also, I'm not able to do every day. It's a little bit more jumping through hoops, but I love skiing. So I try to do that. But then, you know, you're constantly just kind of shifting and, being flexible and trying to work stuff out. So I am outdoors most of the time. Like I would say at least 9 months out of the year. But when it does get cold and it starts to suck, that's when I move everything indoors, and that's fine. And you just make it work, and that's what the gyms are for. And, you know, you could do a variety of activities, like rock climbing, or just on a treadmill, or on an elliptical, or whatever, whether you do lunges and things like that.
Yeah, so, you make it work.
And, you know, I wanted to mention something. I had seen this a few years back, and us being international pilots and flying all over the crazy place, I saw there was a ticket booth once where if someone didn't have enough money to pay for like a train ticket, you could do like X amount of squats to pay for that ticket, and the camera would watch you do it. And I thought, you know, even if you did have the money but prefer to do it that way, what an incredible incentive to get people to also move, and not, you know, you're not getting penalized, you're actually giving people more options.
Right. Wow, that's incredible. Do you remember where that was?
I'd like to say it was in Europe, but I have been told by friends that they believe they saw it in Asia as well. So I'll have to do a little bit of
I definitely want to look that up. That is very interesting. That's a cool concept, I think.
Yeah.
So with fitness, flying, and the granola that you do, what is your favorite, I guess, recipe to make with the granola that you do at home, and your favorite recipe when you take on your trips?
Oh my goodness. So on my trips, I'm very boring.
Really?
because what I love about the granola is you can do a variety of things. Like if I go and get an acai bowl somewhere, I'll ask for some fruit toppings and nothing else. Or maybe some, you know, cocoa nibs or something that I may not have readily accessible at home every day. But I always top it off with granola. So that's really easy. If I get a little cup of yogurt from the flight crew while I'm flying, that's super easy to dip in. A lot of times I just open the bag and just shovel it.
Yeah.
I hope that it's
sometimes we're
everywhere on me. But it's just little easy things that I do on the road, or throw it in a smoothie too, just for a little crunch and texture. At home, I like to make granola bars out of it, which is super easy. And there's quite a few recipes. I had an amazing college kiddo. She's now a college freshman. Helped me with recipes. She's incredible.
Oh.
And we purposefully curated these so they would be 5 minutes or less. You just need a
Nice.
handful of ingredients that you could keep using and reusing for a number of our recipes. So, yeah, she makes these mousse bars. There's a key lime pie parfait that we did.
Wow.
So you can get a little bit more involved there. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah, yeah.
it's easy. If you watch the video, you can watch it once and pretty much get it.
Yeah.
That's the whole intent. We want to keep it simple.
Yeah, I totally agree with. Sometimes that's the whole point of this granola, right? That it's so good you can just do it on your trips, or you can get creative with it at home. I like to put on my overnight oats
Yeah,
when I'm on the trips, and it's just great. It's like a little added, crunch and texture with the flavor. I really think it's so easy to just add it to whatever you want in whatever situation you're in. They're packaged so you don't have any problems with it internationally,
exactly.
which is great, which is awesome. So that's really cool. That's really cool. And you've had this now. It's going to be what, 2-3 years that you've been.
No, so I started the electrolyte powder before. I was kind of in development and in incorporating raw ingredients and taking them from overseas during COVID, but I actually
Mhm.
launched the business in May of this year. So
Oh wow.
we're
Okay.
newbies. We're still crawling.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. I remember I heard I can't remember if I heard it or I saw it, but you did a podcast with Pilot to Pilot with Justin.
I did, yeah.
He's such an awesome dude. I was on his podcast a couple of years ago, and he is a great interviewer. But that's where I came across about you, because I saw it and I was like, healthy snacks, something, and then I went into your profile, and then at that same time too, I forgot her name, from Wonder Woman of Aviation,
Natalia.
Natalia. Yeah,
Yeah.
she mentioned me about you, and I was like, wow, so funny. I literally just looked at her profile.
Yeah.
Like, but that's
Yeah.
amazing.
They're
That's
both
really cool.
amazing people.
Yeah.
They do a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
for our community as well. So I adore them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So where can you tell us, where can we find your granola? What's the website, your IG? Love to hear that.
Yes, absolutely. So anyone can just go on online. It's avi-foods.com. Our handle on social media is avi_foods_co. So Avi-Foods Company. So just the CO part at the end. And if you're in the Chicagoland area, we're in a number of gourmet markets and stores here. Some of the keto platforms in particular, they have we've had nationwide distribution. So we sent out about 11,000 of these little guys that went nationwide to like a keto subscription box this summer. We do a lot of gourmet events throughout Chicagoland, but we're slowly getting traction and distribution as we grow. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but anyone who would like to check us out, please give us a shout. Look us up on our website. We send a lot of freebies and a lot of gifts. We're very giving here, so
good.
We'll get some more than what they paid for it. I can tell you that.
That's amazing. Well, I'll be sure to write down those on the description so that everybody can just click the link or be able to just copy paste into their IG handle and find your page as well. And I like I said, I've loved the granolas ever since I tried it. I think this company is going to do so great. I mean, it's all about not just the product that you sell. You seem like a very genuine person that truly wants to put out a good product out there for people. And it's not just about the product. It's about the service that you provide as well, like doing all these things that you do in the Chicago area. People really love the person behind the product or the service and their story, and also what else they have to offer. And I think you fulfill all of those aspects greatly. And I have no doubt that Avi-Foods is going to be an amazing and growing company in the future.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. That truly does, because, you know, it's, there's no point in putting out something if your heart's not in it, number one. And I've always felt and believed that in order to create any sort of change, you have to do it first and foremost with your heart and have sincere and good intentions. And if that comes across in any scope, I'm very thankful. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, Maggie, thank you so much for being on today's episode. I enjoyed getting to learn so much about you, so much about Avi-Foods, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking about fitness with you. It's always awesome to talk about health and fitness with like-minded people. And, you know, for everything that you're going to do, I think you're going to do it to the 100% and always at the best. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Fernando. It was an honor and a pleasure. And thank you so much for your time and to all of your viewers.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Maggie. I will talk to you soon.
Bye.